I see riding the waves as offering huge opportunities for release. We can welcome the waves. That's the great shift. At first, we're like, what? What? I don't like this. Then we start to see, oh, this is an opportunity to open more, to hold more. Riding the waves allows us to flow through life without fighting, which frees up energy to respond to life as it actually is. In this episode, I'm going to share how you can ride the waves of your emotions to free up tons of mental, emotional, and physical energy that allows you to move through challenges with clarity and presence. This is Aliveness, the show that explores how to create the changes you need to make to experience the sense of aliveness you're longing for, and how the power of plant medicine can accelerate that process for you. I'm your host, Alison Crosthwait, a guide and former psychotherapist, here to empower you to break out of your old patterns, shift into a new state of being, and ignite your aliveness. Riding the waves. This is the first episode of what I'm calling the second season of the podcast. And I want to let you know a little bit about the creation process here because it's very relevant to this idea of riding the waves that I'm going to talk about today. So I recorded the first 13 episodes of the podcast in the first week of October 2022. And then they were released over November, December, January. And it's now January 2023, and I'm spending a week creating episodes for February, March, and April. And I create the seasons with a kind of arc. It's a kind of arc that's designed to help you understand different pieces of how medicine work and transformation happens. And so there is a kind of development that happens, a kind of structure. And the funny piece is it's an illusion of some kind of control. Because through the time when the podcast episodes are being released, I am riding the waves, which means I am being with life in its ups and its downs. And through this, creating another arc that will be created in the first week of Jan, will be released over February, March, April, while I'm doing this, right? I think this is really important. I want to let you know a little bit about my process. And I also want to share with you the sort of embodiment of this, because we get this idea because we're always consuming finished products, books, podcasts, courses, movies, TVs, that life is like a finished product, but it's not. It's not at all. Life is a surprise in every moment. And in moments, we create products. Whether that's, nice skin cream or a podcast season we create, and then it goes out and it's no longer ours. So it is my hope that this podcast supports you as you ride the waves of life, knowing that you're riding and I'm riding in this moment, and that nothing is static. Also, I tell you this because there is a lag. And right now, as you watch this, at I think the end of January, early Feb, this is the closest to real time the podcast gets. But I'm constantly thinking and evolving, and the world is thinking and evolving and feeling, and all the things are happening. And I'm constantly also creating new ways of working together, new offerings of all types. Things are always evolving. So the way to stay closest to me is to be on my email list, AlisonCrosswait.com/list. And that way you'll know when I create something. For example, I have a ceremonial offering in March that I'm going to email my list about now. If you want to stay as close to me and my offerings and my thinking in real time, join the email list. The other thing I want to say is it's not like I said, okay, I'm going to work in psychedelics and I'm going to help people change their lives. I'm a rather unlikely candidate for this. It was never on my list of dreams, although there's some interesting ways that it's now becoming obvious to me that many things were preparing me for this particular work that I'm doing. And this is the first piece of work in my life where I feel like I'm with purpose, like I'm aligned in, it's all flowing. This is how it's supposed to be. But that being said, I didn't create it. I didn't have the idea and create it. I follow. And some people, when they hear me say, oh, the medicine said to do this or whatever, it's not like a voice from on high where I wrote it all down and now I'm executing the project as instructed. That's also not how it happens. It's very, very body. And it's very clear the directions that are generative. I get really clear signs from people in their responses, in my own body, and I know where to go, but I don't know where it's going. And this is riding the waves. So, from a business perspective, I might say, when I've had coaches who want goals, right? They want me to set like numbers and tactics. And I have done that before. And that's not the path that I'm on at all. And while I think that can be helpful, it's not riding the waves. Riding the waves is riding the natural cycles of life. So we can have intentions and we can put focus, which is different. We can put focus. I put a lot of focus into the work. But we don't muscle the world into making something because we want it that way. We can hope, desire, focus, put energy, and respond to what's alive in the world. So it's this combination of our resilience and presence focus work with the flow of the wave. So that's kind of an advanced introduction to riding the waves. I'm going to start from the beginning. When you're doing deep transformational healing work, big emotions can come up, like sadness, anger, and our first instinct is to want to feel better. Like, don't like this. I want to feel better. This is, however, pretty exhausting. It's a constant effort to kind of prop ourselves up. Instead, what I encourage is for you to accept the feelings and welcome each emotion as they arise. This is what I call riding the waves. When you allow yourself to move through emotions rather than fighting them, we can relax and be supported in huge releases that come up, which results in massive energy gain. Because those feelings, they're there. And when we allow them to flow, we're no longer carrying them. Riding the waves is like inhaling and exhaling, expansion and contraction. All of the different states, the inhale and the exhale, the pause between the inhale and the exhale, each piece of the breath is essential. It's necessary. It's natural. And riding the waves is a way of being in response to this natural cycle. Before ceremonial work in particular, there can be quite a contraction. Before any personal development work, and in particular with the strength of ceremony, we can contract as a being beforehand because our being knows the expansion that's going to come. And there can be a contraction afterwards as well. And it's important to welcome it all and not take any one experience as a definition of the whole. Also, we don't want to take the contraction as a sign of regression. It's not. It's not anti-progress, it's progress. Progress is not linear in this work, not at all. Riding the waves allows us to flow through life without fighting, which frees up energy to respond to life as it actually is. In this episode, I'm going to share how you can ride the waves of your emotions to free up tons of mental, emotional, and physical energy that allows you to move through challenges with clarity and presence. Riding the waves can feel different for everyone. I talked about some of the challenges at the beginning of creating a business in this space and going with what's actually happening rather than imposing my own view on it. Sometimes it's more emotional, and I've certainly ridden those waves. When an emotion arises spontaneously in response to something, even maybe very seemingly small, the beauty of a child's loving gesture, for example. For others, it might take the form of a conflict in a relationship where long stored emotion comes to the surface. For others, new perspective brings along with it feelings about what we have allowed to happen in our lives, especially when we weren't able to defend ourselves. And there can be a whole range of feelings, fear, regret, shame that pass through. And working with the medicine brings all of this to light. And so we're riding these waves. These emotions can surprise us. They often surprise us. Clients often say to me, I didn't think I felt this way. After all, our intentions are usually about things like joy and peace. So why are we having tears and anger? What we do when we're very small and we express tears, what do people say to us? Don't cry. And when we're angry, stop it, go to your room. It's very rare that caregivers welcome our feelings, especially those of us who are a little older. I think parenting is changing, but it is also a challenging thing to welcome the feelings of small children on a regular basis. And so what do we learn when we're small? We learn to push them away, to not bring them forward in a direct way. So they may explode over here, or they may get pushed down here. But whatever we're doing to block that energy, it takes our life force energy away. Sometimes it's very physical. It comes out in health, emotional, mental, sleep. Okay, so many different ways. So from that perspective, having the feeling is a huge win. So it seems like, oh, I don't want to cry all the time, or I'm so angry, I don't want to be this. Don't worry. Emotions are like weather, they move. It's just that when we're not used to them, it can be like, oh no, it's okay. It's totally okay. I promise you that spending a day or 3 or 5 crying is going to make you so much more productive once you move through this wave. Because the stored emotions slow us down in all the ways, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. One of my clients reported being a hot mess about a week after ceremony. Her intention was to love herself. She wanted to feel more at peace with who she was and release the negative thinking that was constantly in her head, keeping her up at night. A week after ceremony, she was crying whenever she was alone. She wasn't getting anything done. And in our session, I held space and I welcomed her tears. I encouraged them. I reflected that actually she is working very hard, even though she claims to not be getting anything done. I reflected to her that her tears are beautiful and completely in line with the losses she is working through. She talked about some of these losses in detail, and we cried together. We did some energy work around them, allowing her to be free of anything sticky that remained. And she finished the session open-hearted, relieved, and still with tears in her eyes. Beautiful tears. What had come up for her was precious, long-awaited healing and release. And she was even more equipped to go love the world, her family, the people she worked with in her unique way, now that she had more fully welcomed her grief as part of her. This was what was between her and her loving herself, was having the space to feel her feelings. Riding the waves is one of the reasons why having community and professional support through your healing process is essential. People around you can reflect to you the bigger picture, the picture that's bigger than the intense feelings you're feeling in the moment. They can say, here's your intention. Here's what's happened in your life. Cry. Cry. Once you see this and can feel the faith of the people around you, it's easier to relax into the discomfort you might be experiencing. One of the things I also do with my clients is offer them very specific breathing methods and tools and postures to help the emotional flow continue. So to support us in having that emotion and allowing it to flow through and move. When my clients experience emotion rising, we use that as an opportunity to go deeper into healing. My clients have access to a variety of emotional release tools that they can tap into based on what feels good for them and what they're needing. So they can develop the skill to release and flow through these emotional experiences in a healthy way. While there are definitely things that you can read online and learn from podcasts like this about supporting your emotional flow, when it comes to being witnessed and supported in releasing emotion, it is invaluable to have personal accompaniment on that journey. So what you're doing with your emotions is you are accessing them, releasing them, and moving into emotional flow, which is the opposite of stuck. There are key tools: anger release, bolster breathing, breath work, breathe, relax, feel, watch, allow, to name just a few that I think are great to use to help release emotions that are coming through. Emotions need to be felt all the way through to release them. So we need to open to them and allow them to flow. I'm thinking of a client who wanted to increase her self-expression. And she was somebody who never showed emotion. And so it was a very interesting intention. And she was completely against the idea of making a mess, of taking up space. It's too much if I cry. It's too much if I cry. And the amount of energy spent keeping that down had her kind of locked away. So it was difficult to feel and connect. And as she allowed herself to have her feelings in the moment, her magnetism got much, much stronger. And she started to attract very new things in her life and to express herself very differently through a practice of allowing herself to cry. We create in the world with our energy. If you think of somebody that you really like to learn from, or you like their art, you like their energy. Energy is emotional. That is one piece of energy. And so when our emotions are blocked, we are not able to show our full selves. And it's challenging to create. So almost always, in fact, I would say always, our intentions involve releasing and flowing emotional energy. I see riding the waves as offering huge opportunities for release. We can welcome the waves. That's the great shift. At first, we're like, what? What? I don't like this. Then we start to see, oh, this is an opportunity to open more, to hold more. We can actually more surf the waves, enjoying the peaks, even when they hurt. Sometimes they hurt, knowing we're opening more and more and more to life. So we can get excited like a surfer when we see a big wave that can be like, yes, let's do it. And, of course, when life is challenging, we don't always cheer, but we can get to a point where we can see both sides and say, I don't want to ride this wave. I'm in one right now. I don't want to ride it. Not interested. That's one part of me. The other part of me knows every single challenge I've had in my life has asked me to open and has grown me and connected me to others and myself in the most astounding ways. So I'm like, bring it on. Let's see. And I don't want it. And bring it on. We can move between both. So while it wasn't easy for the client I mentioned to accept her tears, she did have the ability to do so, and she had the courage, and she chose to. And now she has greatly increased empathy and intuition for others. And she can connect more deeply and more intimately in all of her relationships, which is leading to more clarity on her path. She understands better that the waves that we all experience are part of life and she can ride them. Feeling the emotions that are buried means that you can be present. So allowing yourself to ride the waves allows you to come into the present moment. Contraction and expansion. Inhale and exhale, riding the waves. If this resonates with you and you'd like to learn more about riding the waves of your life, I would love to have you on my email list. AlisonCrossthwait.com/list. I send regular writing about how we can surrender to life and to the more that we know is waiting for us. I would be so grateful if you would leave a review on your podcast app. Reviews make it possible for me to connect with more people just like you who are looking for inspiration and guidance on their journey to create a full, juicy life filled with aliveness. Be sure to subscribe so you get all the juicy episodes to come. And if you have a friend who is deep into their personal growth and healing journey, share this podcast with them too. Now go out and experience the aliveness that's here for you today.